to many, the road is a calling. To a select few, the road is a lifestyle. A place where they live and work as they journey through some of the most incredible landscape on Earth. Testing themselves and each other. Now, like never before, experience life inside and outside the peloton. As cycling's greatest, grant access to their inner circle, all while trying to conquer one of the most incredible races ever conceived. This is the All Access Mini-Series USA Pro Race of Truth, presented by Exergy. These are the solitary moments you rarely see in cycling. The painful departure of 20-year-old Lawson Craddock.
With about 40 kilometers to go, my body just shut down. I had absolutely no energy left. I took everything I could just to make it over those last two climbs, and I limped on into the finish, barely making time cut, which is definitely a big blow to the morale. Not at all what I wanted to do coming in here. You know, I fought as hard as I could, and sometimes it's just not enough.
A testimony to the difficulty of the road behind, and context to the day that lies ahead. For while this promising young rider comes to grips with abandonment, for the rest of the peloton, their toughest day now dawns. In the hours before stage 3, team hotels slowly come alive. Tom Danielson begins the day as the top climber in the race, which means one thing: back pain.
Every morning I like to get adjusted by Kevin, and I think it helps. Like, we get all twisted up and get all these weird muscle things during the racing.
You're back. Take your hat off.
So,
Or you can leave your hat on. Nice. Feel good? Everything? Thank you. Got it.
you can kind of see like which muscle groups aren't functioning or aren't turned on yet after sleeping or after the race. So he uses the laser to stimulate something that corresponds or whatever, right?
Yeah. Push out.
That stimulates that muscle, and you can see now it functions better. And that can really make a big difference, like especially in the start of a race, you know, like before having this kind of treatment, sometimes, you know, you'll start and one glute will be functioning and one hamstring will be functioning. And
That's off.
when that's off or a little bit, you know, it's harder to pedal, smoother, and could take you half the race before it actually, you know, turns back on.
That's better. Side.
George Hincapie makes the morning walk focused on the task at hand, even though there are only 5 days left in his career.
They have been talking about that a lot. You know, like they've said many times, it's a tough decision. For now, I just want to focus on this race and try to get TJ to win. That's the main priority.
While for younger riders like Tyler Farrer, it's just another day on the bus.
Just get ready to suffer. It's going to be a hard one.
Even with teammate Lawson Craddock out of the race, Team Bontrager Livestrong remain upbeat.
In Durango, like 12-year-olds were hitting on him, like full on. Can I have your number? It was so weird.
As riders continue to file into their buses, for one team, yesterday's outcome provides great optimism for today.
TJ absolutely came through for us, and the rest of the team rode fantastic. This is a really big thing for the BMC racing team. You know, we won Utah, but Colorado's another step, and today's a huge day today, so we're going to do the best we can.
At the start line, fans show up for this man. Ben King suffered many injuries in a Stage 2 crash, but instead of abandoning, when his bike was handed to him, he forged on.
Gonna give it a go. I woke up pretty sore, pretty stiff this morning, but if I get through today, then I think I'll be good for the finish in Denver. My biggest concern, I think, is the head injury. If I start to feel dizzy or anything during the race, then I'll have to pull out. But, you know, 12,000, 13,000 feet, everyone starts to feel dizzy a little bit, so it's kind of hard to say. Actually, when the doctor was doing the test for the concussion yesterday, some of the questions he was asking made me think that I've had a concussion after every race I finished. Do you feel fatigued? Are you lightheaded? Are you tired? Like, well, yeah.
Too fast, too furious. Tokyo Drift.
Team Garmin Sharp, aggressive thus far, is veiled about today's plan.
Well, you know, it's just going to be a hard race of attrition. Rainy conditions, high altitude. I don't know. If I told you the strategy, then it wouldn't be a secret. I mean, you're not the only person here.
While Danielson, fresh off a morning realignment, appears to be less cold.
So tired, and I'm probably just going to sit in the Peloton today and relax. I'm really tired. My legs hurt.
Please don't do that.
My head's cracked, and TJ just looks too strong.
You know?
As the peloton embarks, keep those words in mind and keep a close eye on Danielson, for very little of what he said will ring true by the day's end. Coming up, the return of the iconic Cottonwood Pass.
No one's ever gone down that pass that fast, ever.
When the USA Pro Race of Truth, presented by Exergy, returns. After just 1 year, Cottonwood Pass has already become legendary. For those who rode and those who saw, testified to the unforgettable ascent. Christian van der Velde and Tom Danielson believes that experience changes this year's dynamic.
Everyone's going to know what to expect. They're going to probably race a little bit more aggressively, whereas we didn't know how we're going to react with the altitude. So I think it's going to be raced a lot more aggressively, where it came down to more or less the descent into Aspen. And, you know, and if I would have been on the front of Aspen, I would have won by a mile. So there was a little bit of coulda, woulda, shoulda that day and throughout the race.
You know, looking back, our tactics weren't. So I think that we've learned a little bit from that last year. And honestly, I'd like to see more fireworks on that stage. And you know, I'm not completely convinced that that climb is as easy as it seemed last year, and I think it can be a lot harder of a stage.
That's what makes cycling such a great sport. You know, you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. You might flat, you might have mechanical, you might have the day of your life. Who knows?
As the western slope of Mammoth Cottonwood Pass approaches, BMC Racing Team leads the peloton in an effort to protect race leader, the 24-year-old TJ Van Garderen, who has succeeded 2011 Tour de France champion Cadel Evans as the team's strongest rider. 3 minutes ahead, Garmin Sharp's most valuable player, Dave Zabriskie, is once again in an escape group, but BMC seems unconcerned. As the pavement is left behind, dirt causes the precision machines to bog down. Garmin Sharp's dangerous climber Danielson bridges to join his teammate Zabriskie in the escape group. BMC doesn't counter. It's a move that comes as little surprise to other directors.
Danielson bridged over with the Colombian guy to the front group, and behind is the main group, 1 minute with BMC pulling.
For BMC, I think they're not too threatened by it. I think they know that the race is hard enough that guys are going to start to suffer later on.
Danielson's presence gives Zabriskie motivation, and one of the world's best time trialists surges to the front, looking now to leave the peloton in the dust. As a result, the rider who suffered yesterday's most brutal crash, Ben King, is dropped.
Come on, Ben. You all right?
Just off the back of the front group the whole way up the climb, and just wanted to suffer through it. Because I knew if I got through today, then I could finish, help the team out as much as possible.
As the breakaway nears the summit, mighty Cottonwood lives up to its billing as one of cycling's most unique climbs. As the lead group nears the crest, aptly named Colombian rider Francisco Colorado summits the pass first, followed by Danielson and Zabriskie. reaching the banner with a 2-minute gap over the peloton and BMC race leader TJ Van Garderen. As tough as the ascent has been, after 12,222 feet, the task does not get any easier, with a dangerous downhill that is a constant calculation of risk versus reward.
Descending the likes of big mountains in Colorado, you know, you're going to be hitting 50, 60 miles an hour. So it takes a little bit of suspension of disbelief. I mean, you're not really thinking about what's going to be around the next corner.
The things you don't want to do is look down or look off the edge. You know, all you can do is look where you want to go.
So you have 200 guys jockeying for position and, you know, swerving in and out of the lines, fast downhill switchbacks, a lot of action.
You still have to be on top of it because they're not as banked they are, and sometimes they have cat eyes. There's always some kind of obstacle to go around.
Sometimes I think to myself, boys, where's the fire? Why do we have to rush that, you know, to take that much risk to go downhill?
It's a borderline of what you consider a good descender and what you consider not. Do you consider one that's good that never crashes down the descent all year? Or do you consider one that's good that can just drop the whole field 90% of the time, but 2 or 3 times of the year he's in the hospital?
The biggest thing with descending in a group or in a big peloton is really just being at the front and like trying to be at the front and being around people that you trust and trusting yourself. It's always when you second guess yourself or second guess the person around you is when you start making mistakes, start braking too much, start thinking too much. That's when bad things happen.
My view is if you can get down all the stages and you're still in the front group and you haven't crashed all year, then you're one of the best.
Despite an almost complete lack of guardrails, Danielson and the escape group achieve over 60 miles an hour in a braced descent that holds off the world's best trying to chase them down. Coming up, Danielson looks to attack on towering Independence Pass. When the USA Pro Race of Truth, presented by Exergy, rolls on.
As a rider, I come here because it's a whole different ambience.
I haven't seen crowds like that anywhere other than the Tour de France.
Adds some cool flavor to the race.
It shows how cycling is ingrained in Colorado's culture, which is cool. It's nice to get to go and race where people appreciate what we're doing.
In between the 2 towering 12,000-foot passes, the rest of the escape group has faded away, leaving only Tom Danielson and Francisco Colorado. BMC attempts to give chase, with the man in second, Christian van der Velde, shadowing Van Garderen closely. But one cracked rider at a time, BMC loses horsepower.
Riders now starting to get shed off the back, look like big George Hincapie there, slipping off the back, having done as much work as he can.
But then Van der Velde also suffers misfortune, resulting in teammate Alex House making a selfless sacrifice.
Well, he's going to have to ride himself very quickly back into the main field. This is the man who, in fact, is in second place overall in exactly the same time as the overall leader, TJ Van Garderen, decided to swap wheels with his teammate. This is why you have to have a good team.
As Van der Velde chases down Van Garderen, incredibly, Tom Danielson, the man who just hours ago declared he had no intent on this day, attacks.
Tommy Danielson now has really put the pressure on, and he's removed Francisco Colorado from his back wheel. This has got to be one of the best days in the life of Tom Danielson on a bike. He is absolutely floating on those pedals here this afternoon. He's got himself now down to being the sole survivor of that 18-man early morning breakaway. It's very, very rare to see a man ride like this after such a long stage. Danielson, I think, is looking for some redemption for having to crash out of the Tour de France this year.
And I can't think of anything better than a yellow jersey to lead the USA Pro Challenge here. He is just on 2 kilometers from the summit of the climb.
And Danielson, I think, is in one of those incredible days that you maybe get once or twice throughout a career. This This is a crazy scene, and I tell you what, Phil, this is a moment in cycling that you very rarely see a long breakaway move like this.
Well, you could be coming to the top of Alpe d'Huez in the Tour de France right now as the crowd have really closed in.
In fact, Phil, through the crowd there, Tommy Danielson could hardly see the King of the Mountains point. There it is, the Nissan King of the Mountains at the top of Independence Pass.
Well, it's been an outstanding ride by Danielson today. He reached the leaders on his own. He's blown them all away, all 18 of them. And now he tops out at the top of the Independence Pass. He even waves here. Now he's going to make the descent of his life. He only has to finish with a lead of 13 seconds to take the jersey away from TJ Van Garderen. Coming up, an unforgettable effort. Danielson attempts to outlast a 100-man chase group when the USA Pro Race of Truth presented by Exergy returns. Aspen's bucolic scenery is in sharp contrast to Tom Danielson's high drama.
It's all downhill to the outskirts of Aspen, and then finally he'll get himself a little bit of flat, and he will want to conserve as much of that advantage as possible.
Danielson's gamble leaves him on the precipice. The first rule of cycling is 2 men are stronger than 1, which puts in perspective the 100 men trying to chase down Danielson as he attempts to complete his incredible breakaway.
Let's not forget, all he needs is 13 seconds to take the overall lead. The peloton now are really starting to pick up the pace, and in fact it's down to 1 minute and 15 seconds. It's now just 1 minute. He'll be looking at his speedo. He'll be trying to calculate how many minutes he's got to go to the finish.
It is desperately close to everybody arriving downtown together.
Put it to him right now! Everything you got to the top, you have to get back up to speed! Come on, Tommy D, you got this thing! You're the way to go!
After over 5 hours of racing, the finish line beckons. Tom Danielson knows they are coming. Can he hang in? There's lots of switchbacks in town now, constantly changing direction as we have a little tour of Aspen here. 1 kilometre to go. This is a carbon copy of yesterday at Mount Crested Butte when they caught the leader half a kilometre from the line. He's looking for the finish. He's about 450 from the line.
His legs are crying at this moment for the pain to stop. He looks over his shoulder. He's got to find the main fielder coming back now.
I thought maybe I was going to get caught, and I looked back, and I wasn't getting caught, and I was like, holy I'm going to win.
As he comes up to the line, he gets the victory.
I didn't know what to do, if I should just keep sprinting or celebrate or whatever, and I just had so many emotions in my head. You know, I haven't crossed the finish line like that ever.
After the finish, controversy arises, as even though Van der Velde and Van Garderen are given the same time for the second straight day, Van der Velde had crossed the line ahead of Van Garderen. Therefore, the decision is taken to anoint the Garmin Sharp rider as the new race leader. A decision that BMC immediately protests, as they believe TJ should have been awarded a time gap for his more sizable win on stage 2.
Mike said he's on the way as well, we should wait. But if the official said they will change tomorrow, then...
Yeah, that was a good one. That was a very good one. Yeah, it worked. I mean, the day one plan worked finally. Third time's a charm. Same plan 3 days in a row.
I've always got my butt kicked by the clean stage of races. My wife pointed that out. I was planning on attacking on the last climb, but she said, you know what, like, why don't you try to do something that's like totally crazy and puts you in your element, puts you in control, and allows you to see how strong you are. So thank my wife for giving me the confidence and to go out and do it today.
Thank you. Hell of a ride.
Thank you. Good job.
When Tom launched, that was the plan, and just to cause reaction, make it a good platform for him to get up the road, and it's exactly what he did.
See you guys. Thank you.
And I was watching him at the end. I was like, oh no, please stay out there. And he just made it. The poor kid was so dead he didn't even put his hands up.
I didn't even celebrate. I didn't know what to do.
No hands in the air.
No, dude, I didn't know what to do. I was like, oh my god. I haven't won a race in ever like that.
Charlie. Soon they will depart one world-famous ski town and head to another. Beginning in sublime Aspen, Stage 4, presented by United Healthcare, will traverse 97 miles.
You look at Stage 4, for example, where you have to start straight up a giant pass. That's going to hurt, but the fact that you already have 3 heavy days of racing in your legs, it's going to hurt that much more.
The first 20 miles are all uphill, and it's going to be aggressive, and it's going to be hard, and that's where you're going to see a very aggressive start, because the GC has started to settle. Some people have lost out, and some people have won, and people will start to throw caution to the wind.
The peloton will then face a grueling 2.5-mile climb that rises almost 1,000 feet to the ski resort of Beaver Creek in a difficult finish that could result in the 4th leader change in as many days.
It starts to be a question of not just who's the best climber or who's the best sprinter or whatever, but also who recovers the best from day to day.
The guys are going to have to go so deep just to survive the first, I don't know what it is, 20 miles of the race, that it's going to be hard for them to recover at all en route to the finish.
That's part of the game, and it's part of who wins and who loses is not just who's the strongest, but who also rides the smartest and does everything right to ensure that their body's going to function properly in the end.
To witness unseen images and learn the inside story from every stage, including exclusive in-car footage, pre- and post-race interviews, and much more, make sure to tune in every day this week at 3:30 p.m. Eastern to catch every episode of USA Pro Race of Truth. Next, Stage 4 of the USA Pro Challenge begins live on the NBC Sports Network. Day 4 of 7 in the USA Pro Challenge leaves Aspen, Colorado. Christian van der Velde is the new leader of the race, while this man, TJ Van Garderen, believes he should still be in the yellow jersey. Stage 4 may change everything. It's next. The harrowing roads to Aspen would not deter the American Tom Danielson, who left the peloton behind on yesterday's climb up Independence Pass. As he comes up to the line, he gets the victory. That was a great finish. But it was after the stage that the battle in the overall really heated up.
You're in yellow?
I'm not. Why'd I be? Really? Am I yellow?
As amid controversy, race leader TJ Van Garderen saw the yellow jersey pass onto the shoulders of Christian van der Velde. 2 men with the same overall time. Today, they return to Independence Pass, followed by a finale atop Beaver Creek, the perfect arena for a tiebreaker. Stage 4 of the USA Pro Challenge starts next. Welcome back to our live coverage of the USA Pro Challenge presented by Exigy. The riders on the start line in Aspen this morning. This is where the race finished yesterday. It's back over Independence Pass. As we now go out on Stage 4, brought to you by United Healthcare, we are headed between Aspen and Beaver Creek. And that's where we are right now. It's an uphill finish here in Beaver Creek. The clouds are high. It is a beautiful day for yet another exciting bike race. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our coverage. I'm Phil Liggett. Alongside me is Paul Sherwin. Paul, in these last 3 days, we have seen one heck of a bike race, and there's still 2 guys locked together, equal on time.
Yeah, what's amazing, Phil, about the bike race so far is we've had 3 different leaders over 3 different days. And on top of that, the fact is every day these guys have come out from the gun and and they've raced every mile of every stage. It's been phenomenal.
All right, let's explain what we're talking about. Let's have a look at the United Healthcare overall standings. Just look at this. Two riders, Christian van der Velde and TJ Van Garderen, swapping the race lead overnight. It's now Van der Velde in yellow. Ivan Rovny in his second Pro Challenge is flying third. Last year's winner Leipheimer fourth. Ramiro Rincon is there in fifth place. But you know, we have to say it is rather controversial. And let's take you back now to stage two. Was there a time gap here, Paul, that the judges should have taken into account? TJ Van Garderen heading for the stage win.
Well, if you look at this, Phil, in the sport of professional cycling, you're supposed to be in the wheel of the rider in front. If not, if there's a gap, if there's a timed gap between the first rider to cross the line and the next rider, it should be given as an actual time. There you can see Van Garderen crossing the line with his victory. Now, if we roll a little bit further on, we get a chance to see that by the time Christian Van der Velde comes up to the line, it's 1.38 seconds. Now, as far as I'm concerned, there should have been a time difference between those two riders, and theoretically, TJ Van Garderen should be the leader of this bike race overall. And Phil, if I can just tell you one thing, you know the old rule, the first rule is the referee is always right. Second rule is if the referee's wrong, you go back to rule number one.
Well, it does appear by those pictures there should be a 1 second advantage for TJ Van Garderen. Now, we know that his team, BMC, have put in an appeal. We don't know the outcome of that appeal, but we do know that Christian Van der Velde has taken the start today in the leader's yellow jersey. Let's have a look then at the start today, the map today, the Evolved Beverages here. They've gone over the top of the pass, and guess who won over the top of the Independence Pass, Paul? Jens Voigt out in front.
Well, Jens Voigt at the moment has more than a 5-minute advantage over the main field. He really is the man of the match, the man of the season. He goes out whenever he can. The riders, once they've gone over Independence Pass, as they have done, go through the very famous town of Leadville, then through Tennessee Pass. But to me, it's all about the final climb of the day. And if TJ Van Garderen wants to get that second back, it's there up to Beaver Creek.
All right, let's have a look at the Colorado Tourism stage facts then. It's all going to happen in the last climb up to Beaver Creek, I think. We've been over the big climb of the day. There's a couple more along the way as they come down to a first-time finish in Beaver Creek. A population of only 250, I can tell you. There are a lot more here today. Well, let's get down to the action then. There he is, Jens Voigt. He broke away going up the pass of Independence, and he's holding a very good lead over the main field of 4.5+ minutes. There are 15 riders in between, 2:35s, the latest we have on them. And that's the chase group as they have been moving along steadily. Peter Stettner's in there, Rafael Infantino, Johan Schopp, who won the Tour of Utah, Jones, Kreuziger. It's quite a good group this, but nobody affecting yet the leadership. So just looking here at the riders, Casablanca is in there. He cracked big time yesterday and lost 12 minutes trying to keep up with Tom Danielson in the mountains competition, but he was at it again today and has gone over the Independence Pass in second place, whereas Tommy Danielson didn't score at all on the Independence Pass, so that's still a pretty close battle. I think it's now 6 points between the two riders in the Nissan King of the Mountains competition. Well, interesting peloton at the moment, Paul. A few new names at the front by the look of it.
Well, this is the leader, overall leader in the Exeter yellow jersey, Christian Van der Velde, locked in exactly the same time as TJ Van Garderen. Yes, there are different riders coming to the front because BMC Racing have a good rider in that breakaway in front to Johan Schopp, the recent winner, Phil, of the Tour of Utah. And, of course, Garmin Sharp have been very clever in putting a high-placed rider up there as well, because that, of course, is Peter Stettner, who's only looking for 12 seconds.
Now, there is a strong crosswind blowing, and these pictures here demonstrate that. You see the riders forming in echelons across the road. It's also hurting Jens Voigt up front as well. It is a tail to crosswind, and they're keeping up quite a good average speed at the moment. Despite the big climb of the Independence Pass, they've averaged over 23 miles an hour. So the hard work being done here by Jens Voigt, but let's catch up with what's happened and how did we get Jens Voigt in front. So let's start back in Aspen at the Smashburger sign-in. The defending champion, Levi Leiper, still very much in with a chance here. Remember, the last day's a time trial. And then a super crowd again in Aspen. The town has really adopted this race after that wonderful finish there yesterday. Heading out the way they came in and onto the Independence Pass straight away. So it wasn't surprisingly that there are attacks with Craig Lewis starting them right from the gun, the champion systems man. As you see now, riders trying to get into what we always call the early morning breakaway. But we didn't expect this lot to start going away, as one after another got into a group of about 18 men there. Jens Voigt was one of them. On the climb of the Independence Pass, he dropped them all. And before a super crowd and a great corridor of noise, Jens Voigt pushed on to be the lone man over the summit. Listen to that crowd. A little bit further back, first day in yellow for Christian van der Velde. He had 3 days in yellow in the recent Tour of Utah. Looking pretty relaxed on the climb up. Cheers all the way for popular Jens Voigt, 41 years of age, next month, over the top of the Independence Pass in first place. And in all those that followed, no points scored by Tommy Danielson, the Nissan King of the Mountains leader, but there was a very valuable 10 points scored by Jorge Casablanco. So he's closed the gap to third, to just 6 points now between those two riders in the King of the Mountains. Peloton going over, 5 minutes behind, and now it's on the way down, heading towards Leadville for Jens Voigt, making the most of it. He certainly had no intention of waiting for his breakaway partners. Planning here, I think, a race-long situation to take it all the way to Beaver Creek. So this is his second US Pro Challenge, and it's only the second US Pro Challenge. He finished 45th back in 2011. But more importantly, he's now trying to do something for his team at Radio Shack. They were pretty heavily criticised yesterday for not doing a lot of work. Just seeing number 37 down there, that's the transponder as they start to go down there. Oh, on his bike there also, you might have seen shut up legs. Now this is particularly to the number of phrases that Jens Voigt has. Another one of his favourite sayings is he shouts at his shadow and tells his shadow to try and keep up with him when he's in a breakaway. And so that's Jens Voigt. There's a brand new Trek Madone he's riding with, one of his phrases on that frame. The transponder also there to place him at the finishing line. There you see the storm ahead that they're racing towards at Leadville at the moment. It's the scene of the first waste management sprint. Haven't quite got there yet. It's on the outskirts. This is the chase group as they continue, and the big danger in this group to the far right there, number 25, Johan Schopp, pretty strong rider. And also you can see by the flags here that the wind is quite strong. We're on the outskirts of Leadville now, which is famous for its long distance 100-mile mountain bike race, but you not all may know though that Doc Holliday lived near here for a short time after his famous gunfight at the OK Corral. So the riders setting the pace at the front, and this is the team of Rustfeller in the white jerseys, two Russians setting the pace. They have got a good rider up there as well in Ivan Rovny in third place overall, and quite clearly they're growing in confidence, and because Rovny is a very good time trialist. And that's on the last day. Smiling Chris Horner passing out of our picture to the right as we pan through some of the serious faces now in the peloton. And there's TJ Van Garderen stalking the peloton up on the outside. And I think really he should be the leader. That 1 second gap clearly was there on the climb of Mount Crested Butte, but it's on the shoulders now and also on the defence of the team Garmin Sharp, who've had a great tour, and I think in many ways do deserve to have the leader on their squad too. We're rather hoping that storm keeps spiralling around the tops of the Rockies here, not too far away from the highest peaks in the state, and also where the second highest peak in the whole of the United States is here in Colorado too. George Hincapie just passing out of our camera on BMC. He will always be somewhere near TJ Van Garderen. So George will always look after his man. And there is smiling Chris Horner once more. And there's Claude just on the other side of him. They're both riding very high up. Radio Shack have a lot of cards to play in this. This race is by far from done for a lot of riders. So let's get up. There's the sprint finish in Leadville, and it's not a sprint, of course. It's just Jens Voigt out in front, and a huge crowd here in cycling craze Leadville as Jens Voigt takes them through. The town has 70 square city blocks of Victorian buildings, and all part of a designated National Historical Landmark District. So Jens Voigt will get the clock running on that sprint point. The lone leader, Jens Voigt, he has still 39 miles to race to the finish, but he has a good lead over the rest of the field. Welcome back, and we're looking at blue skies, but not directly ahead of the race. They are very black indeed here as we watch Jens Voigt freewheel away from Leadville now as he runs in towards the last 38 miles of the day. And he's holding on to a reasonable lead, although there are signs with these very strong crosswinds that the peloton is beginning to crack. We are getting reports of a number of riders being dropped from the back of the main field. There's the storm I'm talking about. This is the group on the road now, which is trying to just keep others. Now, as far they've gone through the sprint, there was no sprint, I can tell you, for second place. It looked like it was indeed Peter Stettner on the front for the Garmin Sharp in the long line, but our cameras are at the back of the long line. We will get confirmation of that, but at the moment it doesn't really matter. There are no time bonuses this year at the Waste Management sprints, so there's no reason for the riders to try to improve their overall to go for them in different competition. Here we are now back with Jens Voigt, as Jens Voigt, by the way, who hasn't won a bike race for a couple of years, would really love to win this one as he approaches his 41st birthday. Might be able to hear the wind there as he crashes into our sound microphones out on the bike. He's really quite strong and vicious just at the moment. This is now the peloton, and they're just shaking his head there. Peter Elliot's number 3. Taylor Phinney is also there at the back in the red jersey. He's had his ups and downs. That's Taylor Phinney now racing home towards Boulder, which of course is where the folks will be waiting for him. That's where he lives. This is what he had to say on his Twitter account. Good to see that the BMC Pro team kept things under control without me, though. Let's get that yellow jersey back. I'm hoping my knee holds. He has a problem with his knee following the crash he had at the very start of this race. You can see the scars on his left elbow there, and he's struggling at the moment. Let's face it, but let's hope that he comes good for the time trial on Sunday, which is where he'd be favoured to win there. Now let's find out more on the riders' telemetry from yesterday's stage, presented by Training Peaks. You'll find this most interesting, so let's join Bob Roll.
I'm here with Dirk Friel, the founder of Training Peaks. The steady capture of watts in the pro peloton. Was stage 3 just as hard as it looked?
Stage 3 was definitely the hardest stage so far in the USA Pro Cycling Challenge, and the altitudes they got to were absolutely amazing, up to 12,000 feet. You know, the wattage they produced over Independence Pass was basically amateur numbers at sea level. Only 250 watts average for the entire 14 miles. Very, very hard stage today, and we're going to see much more of this to come.
And why is it the altitude takes so much power out of the riders?
You know, the pressure of the atmosphere is lower up at 12,000 feet. So with every breath that you breathe, you have less oxygen coming in. So effectively, it's about 20% less output for these guys at the high altitudes. And it's mind-boggling. The numbers they see on their power meters are just literally, they're almost recovery rides when they're back home at sea level for some of these guys.
Well, it should be a very interesting next few stages in the USA Pro Challenge.
Certainly, we got more high altitude stages to come, and for more by the numbers, visit trainingpeaks.com.
This just shows you how fit these professional bike riders are to return figures like that when they're under extreme pressure. Talking about being under extreme pressure, there's new teams coming to the front today. Maybe they read the overnight complaints from Team BMC, because this is Vincenzo Nibali here. That's Cadel Evans of BMC right in the center of our picture now. Just covering for in the distance there, Christian van der Velde in yellow. But look at all these lime green colors here, the Liquigas Cannondale, as they are looking. Now Jens has hit the eye of the storm here. We're only 3 minutes up the road or so, and he's into the rain now. Now this is the weather at the finish, 64 degrees, the wind's only 7 miles an hour, and the chance of rain 80%. It was only 60 when we arrived, so they've changed their minds now. Well, it's 100% out on course for Jens Voigt, and for the chase group, they're about to get hit as well here. They're at 2.5 minutes, this group of riders, and the peloton now just at the most, just over a minute behind, picking up those 15 riders. But while Jens gets wet, we'll take a break. See you in a moment. And here's the race leaders update presented by United Healthcare. Christian van der Velde took the extra yellow jersey yesterday away from TJ Van Garderen. Damiano Caruso consolidated his lead in the green waste management sprint jersey. Garmin Sharp's Tom Danielson still wears the Nissan King of the Mountains jersey. Bontrager Livestock's Joe Brombrowski is the current Aquadrat best young rider, and Francisco Colorado won the Evolve Beverages most aggressive rider after some tough riding yesterday. So they are the men at the top. There is Christian van der Velde, 0 seconds separating him. It's the third system used to decide who was the leader, because first of all it was on time, they were equal, then it was on count back on points, they were equal, so then it went to who finished in front of the other yesterday, and van der Velde got in front of TJ Van Garderen, which is the guy here with the white jersey on. There he is. Not too sure what he's shouting at our cameraman there, but he might want to come on board and get drier. But TJ Van Garderen there gave up his yellow jersey yesterday, and was he happy about that? Well, let's find out. Earlier, before the start, Bob Roll was talking with TJ.
You guys have lodged a protest based on the climb up to Crescent View. Could you take us through that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, it was... I didn't really know in the start because I was too caught up in like the moment of the victory and everything, but looking back, it looked like there was a pretty good gap between me and Christian, and I was surprised that they didn't give me at least a second up on him. But you know, I think at the end of the day, us not having the jersey now might even be better in the long run.
Pretty dynamic race course for today's stage up to Beaver Creek. What do you expect in the opening kilometers when you go back over into Ben's Pass, the harder direction?
To be honest, even though Garmin has the jersey, I still expect him to attack. I think, yeah, they've raced aggressively from kilometer 1, and they still have a couple, other than Christian, they still have Tom and Stetna on close on GC, and if they can get their guys in the break, that'll force us to chase and get us more tired, and I think that's going to be their goal.
And how good was it for the morale to have a visit from the famous Monzo?
It was awesome. Monzo just got to meet all the guys in the bus, and yeah, everyone thinks he's so cute. He's such a good dog.
All right, TJ, best of luck.
Thank you.
Monzo the dog visiting TJ. Well, TJ was right, because the tactics have been played out by Garmin, and they do have Peter Stetna in this chase group riding up behind Jens Voigt, and Stetna is only 12 seconds off the race lead of his teammate Christian van der Velde. And also in that breakaway there we see Morten Lackland as well going to the front here for Garmin. So the roads are glacial now as we race through the wet part of Colorado, heading towards Beaver Creek. The riders now being a bit preoccupied. They ride in this diagonal line, always indicates to us that it is a crosswind coming in at an angle as they try to take shelters. Looking at these pictures though, Paul, it looks to me as though they're losing a little bit of the impetus in this breakaway.
Well, the main field, if they look over their shoulders, Phil, they will see the main field a little bit further back, and not more than 15 seconds or so. The most important rider in this group, I think, Peter Stetna, looking for 12 seconds. Infantino looking for 57. Yep. A bit further down, Craig Lewis, he was one of the animators of this great race early on, and Rory Sutherland at number 71.
Craig Lewis at the back of the group at the moment. He was indeed the man who started it when we left Aspen this morning. But these boys are making themselves ready for the catch at the moment as they start to be picked up by the peloton, which will be good news for the peloton because Peter Stetna will be back in the bunch, and that will be good news at least for TJ Van Garderen. Just looking around here at the moment. Anyway, let's go out to Steve Perino inside the race and the rain.
So guys, obviously raining right now. The temperature just dropped down to 55 degrees. Jens Voigt has been off the front since climbing up Independence Pass. When he went away, his director pulled up next to him and said, "Are you sure you want to be doing this? You've been off the front, pulling the team for 2 days straight. Yesterday, a hard stage." Jens looked at him and said, "I got this one." However, ever since Schopf and Stetna joined the chase group, 2 Garmin, 2 BMC in the chase right now. So now they're waiting to see what happens. When I talked to the Garmin guys, they said, "We're not going to do all the work here." Buffeted winds on the sidelines, about 25 miles, or should I say 15 miles an hour from the side.
Yeah, well said, Steve, and I think the chase, you're quite right, the peloton are out to catch back those two riders you mentioned in that chase group, and if they catch them, this man might go away even further on his own, because after all, Jens Voigt is 11 minutes and 50 seconds behind the yellow jersey, and indeed the same behind TJ Van Garderen. And you never let Jens Voigt get away on his own, because I'll tell you what, they will have to chase him, because he certainly won't go back to them. The race goes on in the rain. We'll take a break. Beaver Creek is 100% powered by wind, demonstrating its winning promise to be environmentally friendly. And that was a nice shot of the finishing line here in Beaver Creek as we now continue with our coverage of the USA Pro Challenge. There's the finishing approach. It doesn't look much of a hill, but I can tell you it is a sharp one as it comes up from down in the valley there. Back out now, the sun is peeping through, the shadow is forming, and Jens Voigt will have chance now to dry out. It looks as though the little storm has blown over the Colorado Rockies here. Jens Voigt is lucky because, as you saw as we went to break, the catch was made of the chasing riders, and they wanted Peter Stettner back. There's the peloton. They are still in the rain, and they are down the road a ways by over 3 3/4 minutes. Well, they're saying now they've come inside 3 minutes for the first time. Interesting for us is the 3 riders on the front are all members of the Rustfellow Russian team. 4 riders on the front. They have a plan today for Ivan Rovny. We've been to the S there, that was Leadville. We're now just a little pimple as we climb up it, then we descend down to the next climb. The next climb of Battle Mountain shouldn't be underestimated. It comes at 82 miles in. 1 sprint to come at Minturn, and then we have the climb up to the finish there at Beaver Creek. And you know, a second is not much, as we've seen on Mount Crested Buttes. So those boys at the leadership head are going to go head to head. All right, well, now let's check in with our friends at Nissan Innovation. And that excites, and here's more on scratch laps.
Hi, this is Chef Bijou with Scratch Labs. Tonight we're doing dinner for 330 guys just in this dining room. What it does is kind of levels the playing field for everybody. Everybody gets awesome, great food. That's never been done. If you look at the food we have here, this is absolutely fresh vegetables. This is chicken that you would actually eat at home. And it makes the biggest difference. The guys, there's very few moments where they're actually just hanging out and being happy. This is one of them. So they get to sit around real food, have a real conversation, and enjoy a great dinner together. And it shows every day in how they perform. Every night, we're at a different facility, a different chef, a different restaurant, and we started working on this 2 months ago, creating all the menus, getting them all consistent, coming up with the recipes, so now it's just bam, bam, bam. These guys are amazing. They're up at 4 in the morning getting breakfast ready, and this goes until midnight. Chris, what's it been like? Something that's never been done before.
Well, you know I do that every day, right? Something that's never been done before. But tonight is cooking that's never been done before. This fantastic, of course. But there you go, from scratch. Is that right?
Oh, look at you.
Yes, that's our Nissan Innovation that excites. Boy, I haven't had lunch today, and I feel rather hungry after seeing that great food on the tables there. The riders eating that last night. Back to work today for the riders, though. This is the traffic jam of team cars behind the peloton. Riders calling for the racing capes or beginning to take them off because it looks to me as though the rain is stopping. So as we see here, Jens Voigt continuing to keep on the pressure. The time is holding at 2:55. We'll see if Jens can improve on this. Now, Paul, you were telling me earlier, this little 3rd category climb of Battle Mountain, which lies ahead, you've been told it needs a bit of respect.
No, it certainly does. I was talking to one of the journalists from one of the local community newspapers here in Beaver Creek, and he's a cyclist who likes to go out at the weekends and test himself like a weekend warrior. He did tell me that these guys will get caught out by Battle Mountain. They need to show it some respect because it's a very difficult climb, a lot more difficult than it actually appears on the profile. And if somebody wants to use it as a launch pad, it's a good spot in the race.
Well, maybe for Jens, he'll be able to just get a little bit further on. Now, we haven't forgotten about the waste management sprint in Leadville. This was the final result. Jens way ahead, gets the 5 points. Lachlan Morton of Australia, he's 3rd, and Vitagliati in 3rd place, sorry, there. And the overall standings in the waste management sprint competition, Caruso, we also scored the finish, remember, has 22 points. He was 2nd yesterday. Danielson is 2nd in that competition at the moment. So Jens carries on and doesn't care about anything, but I'm going to tell you, every weekend morning, wake up and turn on the lights. Get all your sports in half the time with an all-new show that lets the highlights do the talking. The Lights, weekday mornings on the NBC Sports Network. Still at the front, the Liquigas team of Vincenzo Nibali and also Caruso there, who's leading in that waste management sprint points competition. There's a lot of tactics could be played out on this ride today as we head towards the low slopes of Beaver Creek. We'll take a break. Welcome back as we look here briefly at the finishing line, as this is stage 4 now, coming in from Aspen to Beaver Creek, presented by United Healthcare. A nice crowd, these are live pictures gathering at the finishing line in Beaver Creek. Now it only has a population of 250 people, but that's all changed today. They're pouring in down below. Well, the peloton is still in the rain here, yet they're only riding less than 3 minutes behind Jens Voigt. It's quite amazing because Jens isn't in the rain anymore. He's pedaled through it. We're interested as to why Vincenzo Nibali has put his whole Liquigas team up to the front here, along with the Russ Velo squad, as they're now heading up towards the climb of Battle Mountain, which is the next mountain on our profile. Then we've got the sprint at Minturn, and then we climb up to the finish at Beaver Creek. That's the finish last couple of kilometers for you to show you. It's quite a little steep climb. This, we're almost dropping down to the low spot of the race day before we climb up to the finish. Well, these boys really are still in heavy rain just at the moment. Get a chance to look at the legs. Now, I know many of you are first-time followers of cycling. The answer is yes, they do shave their legs. They're very I think it's one of those things they do. Part of it because they think they look better, and the other one is because if they do have an accident and they need to do some work on their legs, then they're already shaved and set to go. And they do get a lot of massage as well, which is also another reason. But looking at the peloton here now, it has been reduced in size today. As you can see, there were 110 riders on the start today, but they were in those crosswinds just approaching Leadville, which was also a little climb, and a lot of riders were picked off the back. This is the man who's back in the rain again now, Jens Voigt, and continuing to get on with the job in hand. They're saying there, you see the peloton is at 4 minutes. Now, I'm not too sure about that. If they are at 4 minutes, then, and according to our computer, that is the case, everybody is wiped out in between. So it is now a 4-minute gap. Jens, at the moment, is not a wanted man because he's 11 minutes 50 behind the leaders. And so let's have a look at the overall standings and you'll see what I'm talking about. Christian van der Velde and Van Garderen, the same time exactly. They're racing for space today. Ivan Rodney is third. Russ Velo on the front here. Levi Leipheimer, defending champion, fourth. And Rincon of Colombia is in 5th place. Now that's the way it's been for a few days now, apart from swapping around the top. Now let's find out more about our current overall leader, Christian van der Velde. He's the subject of today's athlete profile presented by New Belgium.
The U.S. Pro Challenge means a lot to this team, and it means a lot to us Americans as riders. Last year we didn't know what was going to happen. We thought, okay, it's going to be, you know, a tour through Colorado, and maybe some people are going to show up, but it ended up blowing all of our expectations out of the water.
There's the top 3 finishers. On the right, Christian van der Velde will finish in 2nd place.
If I could equal or do better than my race last year, obviously that'd be great. It was a little bit unexpected to do as well as I did last year. In my mind, I was just having a great time, and I guess that sometimes when you just let your hair down and have a good time, the results follow. This year it's going to be a little bit harder, I believe. Everyone's going to know what to expect. They're going to probably race a little bit more aggressively, whereas we didn't know how we're going to react with the altitude. So what it takes to win it this year is going to be on top of your game from day one. It's going to be these little finishes where you have a handful of seconds here and there, and I really don't think the last time trial was really going to maybe play as much of a part as we think it was going to be. We're just going to have the Flagstaff the day before that, and like I said, those other days would nickel and dime you all the way to the finish. My assets going into the USA Pro Challenge, I'm a good climber, I'm a good time trialist, I'm a good descender, I'm very even across the board.
Van der Velde is making his move now, and I don't think TJ can answer that, or can he?
Love racing in the States. I'm always like 10% better than I usually am just because I'm in the United States and happy, and I'm excited and I'm ready to do this race this year.
Yes, that's our new Belgian athlete profile, Christian van der Velde. Let's have a look a little bit more on him. He's held the lead this year for 3 days in the Tour of Utah. He's now in the lead here in the US Pro Challenge. 36 years of age. He's been a terrific bike rider. He hasn't won a race, you know, since 2009 March when he won the 4th stage of Paris-Nice. But he's been right up there in the results, including 4th in last year's Amgen Tour of California and 2nd right here in the Pro Cycling Challenge. Right now, he's in the hot seat. He's in 1st place. Still the riders dropping back to their team cars here as we're in the rain. Well, another man out in the rain is our Steve Perino. Let's go back inside the race.
You guys, right now, 51 degrees. It's quite unpleasant. Talked to some guys on the side of the road. They said it's been raining for about an hour. So the good news is hopefully the oils have washed off the road. But I'll tell you what, you know when you don't want it to rain, you don't pack rain pants? That's kind of what I did. I don't know if you guys, Phil, have seen the movie Dumb and Dumber. Well, right now you're looking at the sequel called Dumbest.
Come and see me tonight, Steve, and I'll advise you what to do on the back of a motorbike when it rains. And I'm glad I'm not there. But he's there right in the centre of the action, right behind Jens Voigt, who will not be unhappy in these conditions. Jens been through this 100 times as a pro, and a lot of guys do actually like racing in the rain. But that 51 degrees, that's getting a bit cold out there at this time of the year. He's going to warm up. This rain is not forecast to follow the riders all of the way to the finish, and Beaver Creek at the moment is okay. Still a lot of movement. Look at the length of the peloton, different degrees of nerves there as they come round that slippery left-hander. And the race being stretched out here by the Rushfellow riders, who quite clearly today have a plan. And I think they might be thinking of trying to get Ivan Rovny, that man in 3rd place overall, across the line in 1st place today. But first of all, they've got to catch Jens. The Gerald R. Ford Hall in the Beaver Creek Park Hyatt Hotel plays host to the AEI World Forum annually. In 1982, President Ford and his wife Betty hosted the first AEI Forum, a meeting of financial executives, heads of government and other government officials. The forum is off the record and consists of topical small group discussions. Attendees from Europe, Asia and the Americas, they debate current affairs in a private, informal atmosphere. And that building is literally over our shoulders here at the finishing line at Beaver Creek, and that is where Jens Voigt is now heading for. And it's all looking good at the moment. Our computer's still showing us a dead flat 4 minutes the gap. The work being done by Liquigas Cannondale and Rushfellow, and not by the race leaders' teams at the moment. There they are, Rushfellow on the front. Liquigas Cannondale, we've gone back down the road by those 4 minutes. And I think we're about to say goodbye to the rain now. The blue sky has come off over the pine woods there, and it looks as though we might be racing out on to drier roads. And now for more on the official technical apparel provider of the 2012 USA Pro Challenge, Pearl Izumi. Here's Bob Roll.
I'm here with Jeff Schaefer, the Global Marketing Director of the official Leaders Jersey sponsor, Pearl Izumi. Why have you come to the US Pro Challenge to sponsor this particular event?
Well, number one, Bob, it's in our backyard. Pearl Izumi's been a Boulder-based company for over 30 years. And number two, it gives us the opportunity to showcase some things that we do on the aerodynamic side from our jerseys from a construction and fit standpoint that's really unique in the industry. So it's a lot of fun for us.
And if people are wondering how the team is sublimated onto the jersey so quickly after the races, take us through that process real quick if you could.
Well, so what happens is right after the race, we're given the stage leaders' names, and there's a little bit of a mad rush at that point to then get those names, get their appropriate sponsors' logos over to the press over here. And then this is an example of the Spider Tech logo that would then get sublimated right onto the jersey itself. In this case, that's the leader's jersey. I'm sorry, the King of the Mountains jersey. And then we sublimate it right there on site, and we do that for each one of the leaders' jerseys, and that's all got to take place in about 3 or 4 minutes before the awards presentation takes place on stage.
And how many sizes do you bring in each jersey?
we bring small, medium, and large of everything, but when it comes to the King of the Mountains jersey, I don't think we're going to be sublimating any large jerseys this week.
Okay. Well, thank you kindly. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. I remember that company starting all those years ago in Boulder, Colorado. Back to the face of Jens Voigt here. It's one of aggression, not one of fatigue, that's for sure. He's still got that just under 4 minutes at the moment. Our computer's knocked off 5 seconds. So Voigt continues to work away. The peloton, not a full chase on just at the moment. They're racing towards Battle Mountain, which I think will be an interesting springboard.
Yeah, you know, this is not an organised chase yet, Phil, and if they want to pull back Jens Voigt, they need to get a team to come to the front end of the main field, and the whole of the team dedicate themselves to trying to chase down Jens Voigt. Otherwise, if they come in ones and twos, they won't see this man again.
No, absolutely right. He won't wait for anybody. And he's got the shadow now. So Jens Voigt continues here. And that was the official. I think he told Jens Voigt there his gap that we have now, which is 3 minutes 55 seconds. So he's lost 5 seconds, but that's not the end of the world for this man. He'll keep his tempo going as he heads to Beaver Creek. But let's have a look. Tomorrow, that's when we move on towards Colorado Springs, and the Epic Cycle Series will continue on the NBC Sports Network with Stage 5 of the USA Pro Challenge. Pro Challenge on the end. So don't forget, tomorrow we're racing to Colorado Springs. It is the 5th stage, as we'll go down on the USA Pro Challenge. We start with a big climb tomorrow, and then we start from Breckenridge, and then we start going downhill towards the finish. It might be a day for the sprinters. Find out at 3:30 Eastern on the NBC Sports Network. So Jens Voigt, 3:55, the latest gap. As he continues on, he's on dry roads now, and he's only got 22.5 miles to race to the finish. He still has a chance. Welcome back as the riders now are starting to take off their wetwear and search for the team cars to throw it back in, because now it's time to get down and see if they can bring back Jens Voigt, who's absolutely flying towards Battle Mountain at the moment. 11:50 behind overall, 3:50 in front on the day. So that they're nibbling at his lead, but virtually riding at the same speed just now. And any minute now, you might catch a glimpse of the 20 miles to go banner, because our computer is saying that a 20.1 now for Jens Voigt as we course through this incredibly diverse area of the United States. The state of Colorado, it really is a state for sport, there's no doubt about that. And when we race to Beaver Creek, that is one of the major alpine ski resorts as well. Jens Voigt getting into the tuck position when he can't pedal fast enough. He tries to streamline himself down through these bends as we head up towards Beaver Creek, which is a climb up towards the finish. Now remember that yesterday Radio Shack were pretty heavily criticised yesterday by Mike Sayers, because Mike Sayers talking about the team. He is the assistant sports director of BMC, and he said, I don't understand why when you have 6 riders, i.e. Radio Shack men, in the front group, that you won't even pull, and then you start attacking to get the stage win. It's upsetting, but they do their race and I do my race. Well, Mike Sayers is probably right, because nobody helped TJ Van Garderen in the chase back of Tom Danielson, and had they done so, there's no doubt that one of the Radio Shack's team may have been able to have won the stage. Instead, they finished 2 seconds behind the lone winner, which was Tom Danielson. So let's see what Chris Horner thinks about that as he speaks with Bob Roll before the start.
Chris, can you tell us about some of the comments in the press overnight about Radio Shack's tactics?
Well, I think our tactics are fabulous. I think the other teams that have their own objectives to win the race, they just need some extra help, so they want us to jump in there and help them. But certainly BMC rode strong yesterday. They did a lot of complaining afterwards, but it's not our job to help TJ wear the yellow jersey. So if TJ wants the jersey, his team's going to have to ride for it. You see with Garmin, they're in the yellow today, but I still think TJ is the leader of this race, and so if they're not willing to defend today, I don't know if they're going to get any help from Garmin again today either. So it's everybody knows TJ's can time trial the best here, so everybody needs time on TJ. And right now, just because you're wearing the leader's jersey but you got the same time as TJ doesn't doesn't mean that your team is the one that needs to do the work. So BMC is going to have to just man up and do the work all the way to the finish. Certainly, I mean, I think I'm 7th or 8th on GC or something. So there's a lot of teams in front of me that need to be doing some work before I do if they want to win the race. We're here to win stages, and if we can sneak into the overall, then we'll take the overall too. But we certainly don't have the power for the overall win right now.
And speaking of which, today looks like a stage maybe favorable to your talents with the big climbs right at the start, and then a pretty tough climb to the finish line. What do you expect on today's stage?
Yeah, I expect a lot of fireworks, and I think Garmin's going to be aggressive again today too. So that's what I expect. BMC doesn't have a whole lot of cards to play going up the climb to get someone into the break that will allow them to rest today. So I wouldn't be surprised if Garmin's still aggressive, even though they have the jersey. We'll be a little more aggressive today too, and we'll see how the race plays out.
And have you looked at the profile of the stage up to Flagstaff, and maybe that would be the perfect stage for you?
I like Saturday. You're talking today was perfect, but I think I like Saturday a little bit better. First off, the altitude will be a little bit less, which is better for me. I don't like this 12,000 feet stuff. It's not easy. It's not good on me. I don't like it. So my legs are good, but the lungs are bad. And so when we go lower, I'll start to even out a little bit, and then I'll become a little stronger, I think.
All right, Chris, best of luck.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you, Chris.
Yes, well, Chris Horner is the best placed of the Radio Shack team, just 12 seconds off the yellow jersey, but he's waiting, and I can tell you a lot of riders are waiting for that battle around Boulder in Colorado when they climb up Flagstaff, because it is said to be a hard climb, but all of the riders who live in the region know it pretty well, and a lot of those riders are in this race, including, of course, Chris Horner. That one lone rider there we saw idling off the front, there he is. He's just treacled off the front, and nobody been worried about him at all at the moment.
Guys, Jens Voigt hitting about 50 miles.
Sorry, I think we caught the voice of Steve Prino. So let's just see what he's on about then. Steve, back to you. Oh. Well, sorry about that, everyone, but Steve Perino has been cut out there by the atmospherics out on the climb as we approach Battle Mountain. We've lost our picture there temporarily. This is the finishing line. As you can see, lovely and dry, pleasantly warm, and a lovely crowd here at Beaver Creek. Let's go to Steve Perino now.
Guys, on that previous descent, Jens Voigt hitting about 50 miles an hour. Yesterday, some of the guys hitting upwards of 65. Absolute insanity, but consider this. You're actually getting the pictures, and who's bringing them to you? The guys on the back of the motorcycles, and I'll tell you what, they're not sitting down. They are standing up, tethered to absolutely nothing to brace against. And our man behind me right now, yesterday, broke a foot peg. Somehow pulled it off. It's welded back on. So, folks at home, enjoy the pictures. As for our cameramen, Godspeed.
Here, here, Steve. Indeed, the camera boys are the real heroes, because cycle racing is such a difficult sport to bring to you as live images. And I think this week we've managed to see some of the most exciting parts of this event over these last few days. Plenty more to come too. And the first big question is, can Jens Voigt make it to the finish? I know an awful lot of people who would love him to do so. All right, let's take a look at the top Americans after stage 3 of the USA Pro Challenge presented by USA Cycling. Christian van der Velde is in yellow this time. TJ Van Garderen right with him there. Leifheimer in fourth, the defending champ. Tom Downson winning in the King of the Mountains competition. Chris Horner, best placed of his team in ninth, just 12 seconds off the pace. You could say the Americans are riding pretty good here so far. They're in charge of most of the competitions, and they're doing pretty well on winning the daily stages. So as we look down now from a helicopter, these are the slopes now of Battle Mountain. Once over the top of this, we will have just 15 miles to race to the finish. The lone figure there of Jens Voigt. The clock is on his side at the moment because it's gone up. This is a steeper gradient, in fact, than the climb of Independence Pass at 6.7. And the time gap coming up on our computer now, 5 minutes and 10 seconds. So he's actually pulled up all of his lost time. There's been a slowing in the peloton, and you can hear the fans are in support of Voigt here. So it's 14.5 miles to go when we get over the top here, and 14.9 miles rather. It's taking just below 10,000 feet. The trouble is, Paul, altitude here doesn't feel the same as in France, does it? Except when you try to get in your commentary box and you lose your breath.
Well, just a little fact there, Phil. In fact, when you get up to 10,000 feet in altitude, you're actually trying to operate with 30% less oxygen than you would have at sea level. It makes an awful big effect on us, but these guys are actually highly trained athletes, and they actually compensate in a different way. And they use altitude training a lot during their season, so they're not at a disadvantage when they come to this level of the sport. What they have to do is try and compensate by eating different foods.
Well, there's cheers all the way for Jens Voigt here. Up again, another beautiful piece of the Colorado scenery. And just round the corner, you may summit of Battle Mountain. That's Lars Mikkelsen in the car there, shouting at Jens Voigt. A couple of hours ago, he came up and said, "Are you sure you know what you're doing?" Now he's encouraging to stay in front as Jens goes over the top, and more points for him in the Nissan King of the Mountains competition. So Jens is now plunging down. He's inside 15 miles to go to the finish. He's got a great lead of 5:10. Well, this is really hopeful now for Jens Voigt. 15 miles from the finish. He's on the way down, away from Battle Mountain. The next hiccup will be the ride up towards the finishing line. If he's got a couple of minutes when he gets to the bottom of Beaver Creek, then I think he will have pulled off something rather special today. So, now's the time to catch up with the New Belgium Brewing Company and find out more on the Tour de Fat bike race.
My name's Matt Cowell. I work with the Tour de Fat. I'm the impresario at New Belgium Brewing Company. Come one, come all, carnies, and spin around and look like you're having fun. Tour de Fat is a bicycle festival made by a beer company that's in love with the bicycle and wants to spread that love with people who feel the same way and excite your senses and raise money for biking at the same time. Around me, I see carnies of every stripe and color, and that's a lot of stripes and a lot of colors. They build the bikes, organize the infrastructures, build people-powered art machines, and help people get in touch with their childish bike dreams that never died. Tour de Fat has raised over $2 million for cycling by hanging out in the park, riding bikes, dressed like freaks, and enjoying a beer. We know that New Belgium cares about bikes, they care about cycling culture, and this is a great way to create a money engine out of enjoying yourselves in a park. Spread the word about a great employee-owned, sustainably powered brewery while we're at it.
Yes, I think that also personifies Colorado. The people here really do enjoy themselves, and they've welcomed this race now in its second year with open arms. Looking down at the peloton, and they have slowed down here on the climb of Battle Mountain. This is great news for Jens Voigt. They're not too worried about him. He's 11 minutes 50 overall, but now, you know, he's 5 minutes 55 down, and so that sooner or later they're going to get interested in him. But he may have landed a big win here, and let's hope he has, as he now descends away, heading down towards town. Well, it's time. Let's have a look at our Road ID Challenge fan predictions and see who you thought would win today's stage. 29% has gone for TJ Van Garderen. That's not out of the question yet at all. Leipheimer gets 13, Van der Velde 9, and Vincenzo Nibali, he gets a 4% only. But his team has been very active today for some reason or another. And don't forget, if you want to vote, go over to roadid.com/ride. Give us your predictions for tomorrow's stage. Meanwhile, back with Jens Voigt as he descends through yet another beautiful part of the Colorado scenery, heading down towards not quite the basement, but he's going downhill. He's bound for Beaver Creek. Well, perfect timing, because going over here in second place at the top of Battle Mountain, he's just attacked Tom Danielson, is Jorge Castablanco. Now, he's got 7 points for that, and at the start of this day, he was 6 points behind Tom Danielson. So Danielson must score to keep his race leadership's jersey in the Nissan King of the Mountains. Just thanking his teammate there for the big lead out he gave him, and that was Javier Gomez. We'll have to wait for the results. Now, Danielson had seen the move. He did react, and he should have got a couple of points, and that's the only thing which will have saved his race lead in that Nissan King of the Mountains. So that's going to go down to the line today. The last climb up to Beaver Creek is also a third category hill to the finishing line. This is the man setting the trend, blazing the trail, just on 11 miles to go. Let me show you what I'm talking about there. He's coming into Minturn now for the Waste Management Sprint. That's the green sign. And then we nip up that last little hill into the top of Beaver Creek, which rounds off a 97.2 mile journey today. And I'll tell you, this is crucial now for two reasons: to discover the leader in the yellow jersey and the leader in the red jersey by the time we get there. There's a close-up of that last grade. Looks a bit more difficult now, doesn't it, as we go over 8,000 feet to the finish, and we start the climb approximately 7,300 feet above sea level. The sun is out now. Jens will be warming up here. The old engine's going well today, that's for sure, as he races down towards the bottom of the hill and the climb up to Beaver Creek. Danielson is right on the front now. Well, there's no doubt there's one man out in front. There is a little group trying to get themselves together at the back as well, and Tom Danielson is in that group. I'm pretty sure, but we've got no confirmation, Paul, that Tom Danielson should have nipped a couple of points there. But 7 for Castiblanco. If Danielson didn't get a point, then he has lost his lead for the moment in that Nissan King of the Mountains jersey.
Well, bear in mind, there are still points available on the finish line as well, because we finish at the top of a third category climb here to Beaver Creek, and that could be something that Tom Danielson would be looking for.
Well, you know, I was checking in on Tom Danielson, and he was tweeting yesterday after he won. What he said after he won the stage yesterday, he said, "Did that really happen? Pinch me. Thank you to the team for believing in me. Tomorrow's a rest day, right?" Yeah, look at the rest day, Paul. He's on the front here.
Well, Phil, you must remember there is no rest for the wicked, and this man is riding a wicked race here, and he's seen the opportunity of this downhill part of the course. He's only looking for 10 seconds to try and arrest the overall lead. I have to tip my hat to Team Garmin Sharp here at this USA Pro Challenge. They've been on the attack every day. They've looked for every opportunity to put BMC Racing into difficulty, and once again, Tommy Danielson is doing that.
Well, this is the reaction now. It's come too late to catch Jens Voigt. They've gone over the top 620 behind, but it's going to be interesting now. Now, just imagine this with the wind ripping across, trying to hold the rider in front of you. You've got to see your own way down a mountain. They'll be piercing 55, 60 miles an hour on these roads. So as our picture decides not to play ball, let's go back up to Jens Voigt. He's holding a lead of over 6 minutes now. That's enough to win the day, but the real battle for yellow is only just warming up behind. We'll see in a moment. Yes, welcome back to our coverage of the USA Pro Challenge. Let's have a look at our United Healthcare race summary today. It all happened with an attack by Voigt. Voigt was over the top of Independence. Johnson abandoned, then Gianetti abandoned. Voigt won the first sprint at Leadville. He won the top of Battle Mountain. 6 riders have attacked the peloton. They're back together. The gap is still 6 minutes 20, and we are just 8 miles from the finish. There he is, Lars Mikkelsen. Can we hear him? No, he stopped talking now, we're listening. Oh, that's not fair, Lars. Lars himself was a one-day classic winner in his day as a great bike rider. Now he's changed his tune a bit, I think, Lars, having asked Jens Voigt the question, did he know what he was doing? He says, yes, leave it all to me. So as Jens Voigt gets on, the peloton appears to have shut down a little bit. Well, yes, Jens Voigt is going to win this by a big margin. He'll even find himself going up the overall, Paul. He started 11.50 down. He's now got 6.20 of it back.
Yeah, but Jens Voigt, Phil, was not really looking at the overall standings. He was so far down today. He knew this was an opportunity. He'd read the race. He knew that the race had been very difficult for the first 3 days, with every one of those stages really stretched out. Sorry again about the little bit of problems we have with the picture. nature. It's difficult in the mountains. Bear in mind, this is not an arena or a stadium. The stadium for us is the open roads, and we move around with our mobile cameras, and we have to beam the microwave links up to the top of the mountains, down to the finish line, and that's what it's all about.
Now, in the overall standings of the race, I'll constantly remind you there are 2 riders locked together equal on time, Van der Velde and Van Garderen, only 6 to Rovny and 8 to Leipheimer and Rincon. So you can imagine it's only a third category climb, but the finish line sits at the top where the clock will time the riders across, and those few seconds could really turn this race around today.
Well, that's what it's all about. That's what this battle has been about since the very first day. It's about seconds, but it's also about psychology. And I think for a youngster, 24 years of age, TJ Van Garderen will feel a lot stronger if he's the actual leader by a single second. That's all he would really need. If he has the yellow jersey on his shoulders, you know, you've said it so many times, Phil, the yellow jersey changes a man and it gives him wings sometimes, and that's what Van Garderen is looking for.
Absolutely right. As we look out across the area here, I think we can go to Bob Roll, who is out at the finishing line. Let's hear from you, Bob.
Stage 4 of the U.S. Pro Challenge features a very tough climb to the top of Beaver Creek. 2 great champions have squared off in the overall standings, TJ Van Garderen and Christian Van Velde. There's been a war of words about who should be in the leader's jersey. Right at the moment is Christian Van Velde that is in the lead, but TJ Van Garderen hot on his heels. The fans have come out to watch an epic battle between 2 great champions. It's going to be a fantastic stage.
Well said. The extras there were really paying attention, listening to Bob Roll. And yes, we're going to see a great battle up to that finishing line for sure now. There's 2 races today. There's the battle for the next wearer of yellow, and there's one for Jens Voigt, who's on a lap of honour today with his lead now. 5:55, and there's Lindsay Vaughan in attendance. And she is a World Cup skier, and we're at the base here where many World Cup events are held here, right here in Beaver Creek. And she has a gold medal from skiing as well. So well done to Lindsay, and I hope she enjoys seeing a different type of sporting event arriving here at Beaver Creek. She's going to take a photograph now. I'm smiling. No, she got bored now. And so that's at the finishing line. Let's have a little look at the finishing line. We'll take another break, and when we come back, we are going to be cheering Jens Voigt today as he comes up to the finishing line. We'll stay with the race then all the way to the line and give Lens his due deserts. Yes, and Beaver Creek over 8,000 feet above sea level, and as Jens Voigt comes up here, he will climb from about 7,300 feet to this finishing line. And it's going to be a big moment when he gets here. He's still holding a nice lead out there, massive crowd. We haven't been here before with this event, and one must ask the question, why not? Because the crowd here is enormous. It's a gentle uphilling rise. At the moment, we can't get back out to Jens Voigt because we've lost the pictures again as we come towards the finish. I can tell you though that the computer is telling us the gap is now back up to 6 minutes, which is great, and 6 minutes cannot be caught now. We are inside the last 5 miles or 8 kilometers to go. Well, while we're waiting to catch pictures again, at the start this morning we did speak with Christian Van der Velde, and before the off he was wearing his yellow jersey.
Christian, a little bit of controversy about the stage placing and the actual time on the route, especially considering Chris Butte and yesterday's finish. What's your take on the current brouhaha?
I mean, that was 2 days ago. If they were so upset about it, they should have done it then. But yesterday, it's just placings. Nothing's really changed the other day. I mean, it's more or less TJ and I are sharing the jersey at this point in time. It's really just done by placing. So if he beats me by a place today, he's more than welcome to go to doping control and do all that stuff himself and do the press conference. I'll be back in my hotel room.
Okay. A really dynamic race course today. Do you expect some aggressive riding from the peloton, especially some of the riders we might not have seen yet, like Fuglsang perhaps and Kreuziger?
Yeah, Jakob, I don't know, but Romans he's not so happy with the hills sometimes, but I think the Colombians actually are going to be animating the race a lot. I mean, and this goes straight up, and it's a hard climb. I think it's one of the harder climbs they're going to do the whole race, whereas this is the steeper part of Independence. So, yeah, I think it's going to be aggressive. And, you know, whenever there's a stage that's this short, people aren't scared to really put their cards on the table right away.
What's the team plan with a big climb right at the beginning and then some flats before a pretty tough climb to the finish line?
Offense is the best defense, man.
Okay, best of luck, Christian.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, well done, Christian. He's got it totally worked out. You must ask the question, why did Team BMC complain on the day, which was stage 2 at the top of Mount Crested Peak? They only started last night. And is who finishes in front of the other gets yellow tonight. So at the moment, Paul, we're still out on course without the pictures. We'll pop them very shortly, I hope, if the atmospherics have got the better of the situation. But the race situation hasn't changed at all. 4 miles to go to the finish. That's about 7 or 8 kilometers to go, and still we've got Jens Voigt in the lead. He's just lost 5 seconds, down to 5:55 at the moment. Now let's just see at the King of the Mountains results of that crucial climb. Castiblanco got 7, Danielson got 5. So that now means that we only have 4 points splitting Danielson and Castablanco. So there's another little query we're going to have to sort out on this last climb to Beaver Creek.
Well, that's what it's all about. Let's not forget again, Phil, there are still 8 points available for the winner of the stage, and I don't think that anybody's going to take that away from Jens Voigt, but it will be a big battle for 2nd, 3rd and 4th position because of that King of the Mountains race.
I'll tell you, it is going to be a terrific finish today, because another man in the hot seat here is Joe Dombrowski. He won the youngsters Giro d'Italia this year, and people who've won that race in the past have gone on to become the superstars of cycling. And this youngster is best in the young rider standings at Aquadrato sponsorship. 9 seconds better than Gavin Mannion, and George Bennett there in 3rd place. They are the stars of the future, and when Jens Voigt and George Hincapie finally leave our screens, we'll be calling those youngsters as big-time winners.
Look, we will. The crowd here are waiting now. We're sticking by with Jens Voigt. Just the next sign that he will see on the road will be 5 kilometers to go to the finish, and that's 3 miles of racing. Sadly for him, 3 of those 5 kilometers, Phil, will be uphill. It's a steady gradient here, and for Jens Voigt, he'll just try to conserve his rhythm once he gets up to the top end of this climb. I think he will savour the last kilometre or so, because there's a huge crowd turned out here at the summit of Beaver Creek to cheer on a man who, I have to say, is extremely popular in the sport.
Well, while we're waiting to catch pictures on the man, let's have a look at the new Belgian athlete profile on Jens Voigt, because here's a rider now, as I say, 17th of September, he'll be 41 years of age. He stands 6'2", and he still walks tall. 169 pounds. His strength, of course, is being consistent, and having finished 6th in the Tour of California 2 years ago and 4th in 2009, he's now looking for his first win since a very, very small race in Altstadt in May 2011. But if you go back to a big race, he hasn't won a race since the 3rd stage of the Tour of Catalonia in Spain back in 2010. It's all going to change today. The sprint result down in Minterm, we never saw the chase goal. Tyler Farrell went for it because he's looking for that Waste Management green jersey, but Caruso was right on his back wheel, so Caruso keeps his overall lead. He's wearing the jersey, which is green, 23 points. Farah 18, and Tom Damson, featuring after yesterday, was 16. All points counted for that competition as well on this finishing line, but only for the first 10.
Well, I think Tyler Farrell might just have a little chance tomorrow, Phil, because tomorrow for me is the last chance for the sprinters to try and get them some points as we head down to Colorado Springs. It's not a flat day because there's no such thing as a flat day in a bike race in Colorado, but it is slightly flatter than some of the other days.
Yes, we start over a big climb tomorrow, as we did today, and then we run downhill a little bit. Beaver Creek, by the way, here in Colorado, will host the 2015 World Alpine Ski Championships. It's hosted them, I think, twice before in the past as well. So this is a pretty famous part of the state of Colorado, that's for sure. Well, we're still waiting to get back on the picture. I know it's frustrating. It's frustrating for us all. I think the water that we copped on the mountain, approaching Battle Mountain, has worked its way into all of our machinery out there. This is where the riders are as they're on the way down towards the bottom of the climb. According to my computer, they're 2.3 miles, just 5 kilometers from the finishing line. Voigt, there's no doubt he's going to win today, and we're all going to go outside the commentary box and cheer him. Right?
Oh, absolutely.
So if you lose pictures and sound, everybody, you'll know what happened.
No, there'll be a huge crowd. In fact, we don't need to get out of the commentary box, Phil, because I think we'll be the sides will be reverberating with the cheers that will come up for Jens Voigt. Yeah. I can tell you that he's at 2.2 miles to go to the finish, and that's around about 4 kilometers, and he's still holding on to pretty close to that 6-minute advantage. But there still will be a great race for second place. It's a very important race for second place because it could affect the overall lead.
Look at this knockout crowd here at Beaver Creek. So as we look at the beautiful crowd here waiting for pictures and the finish, because they see the same pictures, let me remind you, on Sunday the IZOD IndyCar Series continues on the NBC Sports Network. Will Power looks to remain dominant along the streets of Infineon Raceway. It's the GoPro Indy Grand Prix of Sonoma, Sunday at 4 Eastern on the NBC Sports Network. It's also the finish in Denver of this event, the USA Pro Challenge, which we're finishing this year with a time trial. And these guys at the head of the leaderboard can ride a pretty hot time trial as well. So it could, this could go right down to the line in Denver on Sunday. 1.8 miles to go. Very soon we will pick up Jens on our static cameras if we can't get him on the mobile. He's still well clear of the field. 5:55 still coming through on the computer. And that's more than enough at the bottom of the climb to come up to the finish here. He can even take time out to salute the crowd. I think in America he's as famous as he is back home in Germany, or indeed in Australia, where he also has spent a lot of time. Well, Paul, we were told, and we didn't doubt it, the population of Beaver Creek is 250. I don't think they meant 1,000, did they?
Well, it looks like it could be pretty much close to that here this afternoon. 250 normal residents, but you know, during the winter months when the ski season is at its peak, there's a lot more people living here than that, closer to 50,000.
Wave to the camera, she said. We'll wave back, yes, but you know, even in the ski season, they don't see crowds like this. Surely over 2015 Alpine Skiing Champions will be here. As everybody enjoying the atmosphere, all of that rain, mythical, and I think it's got to be the rain that's got into our machinery, which has knocked us out in these last couple of miles to the finish, with 1.5 miles to go now. If our computer's right, and it usually is, 5:55 gap. We're trying to get pictures back for you at the moment. 5:55 is the gap. Jens Voigt in solitary splendor very soon will be on the lower slopes heading up to the finish.
Yep, that's the fact is that Jens Voigt was the man who took the race by the horns here this afternoon, decided to go for the very long breakaway. You know, the funny thing is, it reminds me of something that Jens Voigt once said to me. You know, he said, "But why does the breakaway go away and get caught down towards the end?" He said, "Well, if you get in a breakaway, most times, yes, 9 times out of 10, the breakaway gets caught and you don't win. But there's that 1 time out of 10 that you get into the breakaway and it succeeds." Well, this is the 1 out of 10 for Jens Voigt today.
And what a way to win. The race distance, 156 kilometers or 97 miles, and Jens Voigt will have been in the lead for 150 kilometers or 90 miles, which is absolutely superb. And it's because he attacked early that the field let him go, but then they realized they couldn't bring him back. And so today is going to be Jens' day, forevermore at Beaver Creek, I think.
Well, one other thing, Phil, there's not many men in the international peloton can do what Jens Voigt has done today. He's a beast of a man when it comes to being a bike rider. He's extremely strong, and he loves to get out and dish out the pain there, which has many occasions has earned him the nickname the King of Pain. Well, I think the King of Pain today is basically extended his reign, because he has signed for Team Radio Shack Nissan for another year.
Well, he has just started the climb, so he's come through the gates at the bottom of Beaver Creek. So approximately he's about a kilometre or so, slightly more, so he won't be far away from the Nissan Leaf electric kilometre sign, which when he sees that, this is maybe the first shot we get of him. And when you see him come around that corner, you'll be cheering him home for his 88th win of a career which began in 1997.
The small Australian development squad at the time, ZVVZ AIS, Australian Institute for Sport, and they were hoping that that would come up to be a great international team as well. Look at all those phones waiting for Jens Voigt to come into sight.
So I can confirm now that Jens Voigt is at the Nissan Electric, 1 kilometre to go. as we look here at the finishing line. And our 1 kilometre, Paul, I think it'll be a little bit more than 1 minute, won't it?
On this occasion, yes, it would be 1 minute if you were riding on a flat racer, because they would be coming in at about 60 kilometres an hour. But Jens Voigt today, Phil, will probably be doing about half of that average speed over the last kilometre, and he's got so much time in hand. He will enjoy his run up to the finish.
The crowd are ready. They're starting to bang on the boards. They know he is literally just around the corner. It looks like we can't repair the problem, so we're going to see him as he comes off that final bend, and then he will see the finishing line for the first time since May last year. And here he comes as he heads up towards the line. How must this man be feeling now? 41 he'll be on the 17th of September. He's getting his 88th career win, and I would think this will go down as the most popular victory of the year.
Well, as he still comes around the corner, Phil, he's enjoying all of this. This man has won the hard way. It's a phenomenal performance. It's difficult to put it into perspective, but listen to that crowd.
Jens Voigt crosses the finishing line to an enormous applause from the crowd there. A breakaway which has lasted virtually all day. He only saw the peloton for approximately half a mile today. He shed himself of all his breakaway companions 3 miles later, and he rode all of the rest of the way on his own.
Well, I tell you, Phil, that performance today is almost impossible. There's only one man who can really do it, and that's Big Jens there. I mean, he really put in the full performance today. That's a phenomenal ride throughout the rain, throughout the mountains, and surviving. Now we have to wait for the tension, the excitement. Who is going to be racing for second place? Has TJ Van Garderen got the legs this afternoon to nibble that extra second back to get himself back into the overall lead? And will the race change lead once again?
We could have a change of race leader, a change of leader in the Nissan King of the Mountains, a change of leader in waste management points. It all could happen on this finishing sprint, and we're all going to be surprised together, because we're only seeing what you're seeing. We're not hearing anything, because the problem with race radio is also occurring. So we're waiting to see now who comes off that final bend.
Well, there's a lot of riders being dropped. The riders are around about 1.5 kilometres to go to the finish, according to the race radio, which is itself suffering a few technical problems here this afternoon. And I'm trying to listen here to the radio. They're saying that Radio Shack Nissan are the rides all over the front end of the main field, trying to dictate all of the pacemaking. And they're being helped a lot by Team Liquigas there, so they're trying to set something up for Caruso.
The field now are at the 1 kilometre to go sign, and there is no breaker from that peloton. They're all there together. So watch out, because there could be, remember that whichever of Christian van der Velde in yellow and TJ Van Garderen in the red and black, whichever one finishes in front of the other will be pulling on that yellow jersey tonight, that's for sure. Unless, of course, somebody like Rovney comes in 7 seconds ahead of them, then he'll be pulling on the yellow jersey tonight. There also could be a change in the red jersey King of the Mountains and the green jersey points competition. Everything to race for. Listen to this, Paul. They're still cheering this man on.
Yeah, they are. Well, they have to stop Jens there, because we've still got to wait for the race finish to come in. What a lot of pressure on the shoulders of TJ Van Garderen. Well, look at this once again. He cruises up to the line here, and you can hear the crowd are going ballistic behind this man, because he's extremely popular. Anywhere in the world you take Jens Voigt to race, whether it's Australia in January, whether it's California in May, whether it's Colorado in August, this man has always got a smile on his face.
Now here we go, we're up towards the finish. The face is coming up now, the pink straight here. TJ Van Garderen on the left of our picture, and a huge effort being made as they come through. It looks like he might be closing up there as well, but he's got a gap on Van der Velde. And remember, if TJ finishes ahead of Christian Van der Velde, it's going to go the way of TJ. He's second. He immediately looks over for Van der Velde, and he has taken back his race leader's yellow jersey.
But there was no time gap there. At about 50 metres to go, there was a slight gap, but Van der Velde, wearing number 16 there, really recovered in the last 40 or 50 metres and pulled himself back to the wheel of TJ Van Garderen. What a dramatic race. There is TJ Van Garderen.
Well, there's no doubt on that result. I think you're right, Paul. On this occasion, there was no time gap officially between those riders. So it does mean, on countback, that TJ Van Garderen will be back in his his leader's yellow jersey.
Well, what a day it's going to be tomorrow, Phil, because we've got lots more. But this race could very much go right down to the wire around the streets below the state capitol in Denver on Sunday.
And we'll have to wait to work out the King of the Mountain situation, but I think that was very much in the favour of Tom Downson. And Michael Creed down there has made a huge effort on that climb today. But I don't think there'll be any change now in the King of the Mountains. That should still stay with Tommy Danielson. The point is a bit more difficult to work out from our no-windowed commentary box. But there's no doubt, I don't think, Paul, that TJ is let his legs do the talking on all the controversy, and now he's back in ring.
Yep, well, that's what it's all about. You've got a lot of pressure on your shoulders when you're just 24 years of age and you're at the head of a team that's got names like Cadell Evans and George Hincapie in it. And but he's been nursed around here. But look at the time gaps appearing as they come up to the summit of this climb. Jens Voigt lost a huge chunk of his advantage. There's George Hincapie, the second-place rider in the red and black jersey there, just ticking away to finishing the end of a 19-year career, which closes down on Sunday.
This is Ben King here with the bandage on, just coming in at the back of the group there. As they all enjoy the arrival in here in Beaver Creek, this enthusiastic crowd have waited patiently here. Like us, they lost the benefit of the big screen out there to watch the riders approach the finish. But look at the damage done on this climb.
Yeah, but what about the atmosphere? I mean, this is an amazing crowd. This is the biggest crowd that we have had so far on this USA Pro Challenge. It's absolutely huge. Ben King there after the injury of a couple of days ago, crossing the line there, wearing number 34. He's lost himself 5 minutes, but he's not concerned about the time.
We've had a lot of emails from you asking how did he fall off. Well, apparently Ben was in collision with a rider who leaned on him and then knocked him off, and down he went. So it wasn't really his fault, the accident. But it doesn't matter, he still cut his elbow, but there he is. He's home and safe. So let's have a look first of all at the stage results and see what we can work out here as to how the overall standings will look as Ben Klink searches for his team car. Let's have a look at the United Healthcare stage results. Voigt gets the win. 2:58 was the gap. Andrews closed, the man with the little beard, who got second. TJ Van Garderen third. That's important. The Levi Leipheimer fourth, as he is overall. Oliver Zag of Radio Shack. They had a determined move today, Radio Shack, as they got first, second and fifth on the stage. Vanderbilt, because he's sixth behind TJ, will lose the yellow jersey. It will pass indeed to TJ Van Garderen. And Joe Dombrowski will keep his leader's jersey in the Young Riders competition. He finished a magnificent 8th there. Just looking down this going, see Taylor Finney going through, the first rider in the red and black, the teammate of Cadell Evans and TJ Van Garderen. This group coming in 6.5 down. As you know, Taylor's had his ups and downs in this race, and he's hoping he can get his body back in shape for a good crack at winning the time trial on Sunday, which will be some consolation, because he crashed in the first half mile of this race and knocked 12 minutes into him by the end of the day. And a tough day out even for these riders. Just take a close look at their faces. Peter Bellett's in this group as well. A little bit of a surprise, and I can see way down at the back there too, Cadell Evans, the winner of the Tour de France last year. He's never enjoyed the same form this year, and now he knows that leadership, at least this week, has passed from him to TJ Van Garderen, who today has reclaimed his yellow jersey. There he is, that's Evans there. He won the Tour in 2011, as I said, and he's also been the world champion the year before that. Both firsts for Australian cycling. So we'll take a break, we'll sort out all the situations, and then we'll catch up with the overall leaders in the USA Pro Challenge. Well done, Jens Voigt, his 88th win as a pro. Welcome back, still coming in, 10 minutes has passed by at the moment. As we're looking here, there's Tyler Farrell. He's just come in. There he is. He's just arrived. He said all along this week that the one possibility he has of winning was probably into Colorado Springs. That's tomorrow. Well, he's won already, as we know, on the opening day at Telluride. But today is about a German cyclist who speaks fluent English, so let's have a look at our roadid.com ride of the day. This has got to be the ride of the day and possibly the ride of this year's USA Pro Challenge. He won every prize along the way. He topped out at the independent pass on his own. He kept going and kept going. He built his lead as he pushed 5 minutes over Battle Mountain. He was still there. He led through Leadville as well. He led through Minturn. He arrived at the finish. His lead down to inside 3 minutes, but that was more than enough to give him his first stage race victory for a couple of years. Jens Voigt back on top, and he'll be 41 years of age next month. That's our roadid.com ride of the day. Now, a little bit of picture problem. Well, our pictures won't behave with us today, but inside 4 hours, the time today for Jens Voigt. A tremendous ride for such a long way, almost 100 miles. That really was a great ride. Well, Beaver Creek still not going anywhere as we wait to see other riders come in. We can't do the prize presentations until they're all in. They're almost all in, so we're going to take another break while Jens Voigt gets ready, and then we'll bring you the podiums and, if we can, some interviews. All right, let's have a look then at our GoPro aerial images. Today we're gazing down on Beaver Creek here, where we've seen the oldest rider in the race win the stage by almost 3 minutes in Jens Voigt. And we're just waiting now for the prize presentation to begin. And here we go. The new leader of the Pro Challenge is TJ Van Garderen, and he will still be equal on time with Christian van der Velde. Absolutely amazing. These two swapping the jersey around just by simply finishing in front of one another, and they're always finishing in the same time. Still, his dad Marcel will be pretty pleased. Dad Marcel working on the race as a motorbike pilot. Just gaze it out at an incredible crowd here at Beaver Creek. Pressure's on him again tomorrow to Colorado Springs. These are the United Healthcare overall standings. TJ Van Garderen now leads 0 time over Van der Velde, as it was 2 days ago. Rovny holds 3rd, still 6th. Levi Leiper holds 4th, still 8 back. Yanis Brakovic 5th at 12. Exactly the same as it's worked out, apart from the switch at the top of this morning's standings. And Joe Dombrowski will keep his leader's jersey, his best young rider, in 6th place. Rincon is in 7th. Tom Danielson, who came up to 8th yesterday, stays there. Damiano Caruso, the sprinter, he stays in 9th. And Andreas Klöden, who finished 2nd today, he holds 10th place overall and only looking for 17 seconds. This race really has an awful lot going for it over the next few days. Now TJ, as we saw, crossed the line behind Andreas Klöden and the winner Jens Voigt, so he comes up now for his 3rd place awards. And then we're going to see 2 Radio Shack riders. The BMC team, by the way, criticised Radio Shack yesterday for not chasing with TJ to catch up with Tom Danielson. Well, they've come out and done their own thing today, because they have now got 1st and 2nd on the stage. So watch out now for Andreas Klöden. He's the first man on the podium here. It's man who's had 26 wins in his career as well. He turned pro back in 1998, been a podium finisher in the Tour de France. He's still a big danger to win this race. Photos first, and then step up on the podium second. As he takes his place, we're now waiting for the winner, and you wait for the cheers. I'm going to be quiet.
Nissan track rider on the podium. Ladies and gentlemen, you know it, you love it. Let's hear it for Jens Voigt.
Just listen to the crowd cheering for Jens Voigt as he steps up now and is congratulated firstly by his teammate, then by TJ. Jens Voigt has ridden 15 Tours de France. He's won 2 stages. He's worn the King of the Mountains jersey. He's worn the yellow jersey. And I reckon today he has been the most popular winner of any race around the world this year.
Presented, representing the 2015 2014 World Alpine Ski Championships.
And there is the Olympic ski gold medalist there, Lindsey Vonn, who presents his... I actually commentated on Lindsey Vonn at the Winter Olympics in Whistler in Canada last time around. She's made the presentation here to Jens Voigt. Better watch out, Lindsey, because I reckon Jens would take you on downhill as well.
As Jens Voigt takes the win, the top step of the podium belongs to Jens.
Very nice painting as a gift there too, as part of his winner's prize. Will that be the last race that Jens will ever win? Don't bet on it. So let's have a look how it looks with Jens Voigt on the top. He gets the win today over Klurden, and in third place is TJ Van Garderen. And this is what the riders will face tomorrow as we look at the Evolved Beverages stage map. We start at Breckenridge tomorrow. Little climb coming on early tomorrow in the Hoosier Pass. And then, because it's so early, I don't think it will decide too much. You never know. Then we drop down through Fairplay for the waste management sprint. Another little ripple along the way at the Wilkinson Pass. We're steadily going down, though. The Ute Pass at 9,000, then to Woodland Park for the sprint. And then we come into Colorado Springs, where it might be a sprint for Tyler Farrar. Or will there be a breakaway with the audacity of Jens Voigt also on tomorrow? Well, don't forget the 2012 USA Pro Challenge recap show tonight at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. Stage 5, Breckenridge to Colorado Springs, comes tomorrow, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And for a full schedule and for race highlights, don't forget to log on to NBCSports.com. The man who drove it all the way today, Jens Voigt, and he rode like the true champion that he is. For all other race information, log on to ProChallenge.com. All of our great clothing here, provided by Pearl Izumi. Well done, Jens Voigt, today. Well done to the new lead of the tour, TJ Van Garderen. Stay tuned for NBC Sports Talk up next. Goodbye from Beaver Creek.